Most backpackers aren't lazy. They're training hard, but they're focusing on the wrong parts of training. Once actually on a long trail, you realize pretty quickly that the trail demands a lot more than what most hikers expect. Let me share with you what's helped me prepare for real and sometimes long days on trail. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for being here today. I want to talk today about something that I'm passionate about outside of hiking, and that's just fitness and physical preparedness. I tend to think that I've been a physically fit person most of my life with my background in the military and keeping up a lot of that same routine and rhythm even after I have separated from active duty and the military in general. But as I have gone out on some of these longer hikes, I've realized that my training has been a bit incomplete, and part of that has been because of where I have focused. And that focus has been in the wrong areas. I want to share with you some of the things that I have learned and I'm continuing to learn, especially as I prepare for my next long trail adventure. So what are those things that most people commonly focus on? Well, if you're anything like me, getting ready for my first longer thru hike, the first thing that came to mind in training and preparedness was running and a lot of cardio. I felt like I needed to be in really good shape cardio-wise. I needed to get out and start running and really needed to be able to do a lot of miles per week. Not necessarily relatively fast, but a good amount of miles per week. The second thing that came to mind was really around strength workouts. I felt like I needed to get strong. And at some point, it didn't matter if that was upper or lower body. And all of that kind of coalesced into this feeling of I need to be fit. I need to be the fittest that I can be. And maybe to a slight degree, that kind of took the image of I need to be this elite level athlete. Another part of this was looking at a lot of what I would call metrics, body weight, running times and pace, how I was eating from a diet and a macro standpoint. And that became a bit of my standard or my target for what I wanted to do and how I wanted to look and feel. So none of these things are bad. Let's be very clear. Running, weight training, trying to get down to a certain level of weight potentially, and using metrics to help, those are good things, but they're just not complete. So what does the trail actually demand from us? Well, we know for a longer thru hike, it's going to be long consecutive days. It's going to be long days on your feet and putting a lot of miles on your feet. It is uneven terrain, and we will be carrying weight with us of some kind. So when it comes to hiking a long distance trail, there is something to be said about durability of the body versus being in peak fitness. Elite level fitness, while helpful, of course, maybe isn't quite what is needed on something that is like a long trail that requires endurance and durability. Another factor here is consistency. The trail really demands consistency over, I would say, intensity. I'm not here to pick on any style of fitness. We do what we do and we do what we enjoy. But as an example, a lot of CrossFit is a very intense type of workout. You get a lot of intensity in a very short period of time, like those WODs. Again, not bad, but a trail is going to require a lot more longer term consistency there versus short term intensity. So where the disconnect happens here, and we all kind of fall victim to this, myself included, typically we are in a very controlled environment when we are training. In a gym, maybe in a basement, or in a garage, or a spare room that we might have. And those environments are ideal, which is not what the outdoors is like. These are typically very short and isolated workouts because of our time constraints. Trying to get in a workout, maybe we've got 30 minutes, maybe we've got an hour, and it's isolated to typically what we know best. Either we're gonna run for that amount of time, or I'm gonna go do an upper body workout, or maybe just a lower body workout. In short, we try to take workout regimens and styles of working out used for other things and apply them to our preparation for hiking a trail or a longer thru hike. And that just doesn't work well. But there are a few things that mattered more and some that mattered less than I expected. So a few things that mattered less. One, being in peak cardio condition. The speed element really didn't do anything for me and doesn't do anything for most hikers. 100-meter dash time is probably not going to do a lot for you in and of itself. Another thing that mattered less were just these kind of one-off hard workouts. I know there are times when I'm feeling really good and I want to go really hard, and I do. Or if I have missed a couple of days in the gym or in training and I feel like I need to make up for those days that I missed, and so I go really hard. That doesn't really help, and a lot of times that either can lead to injury or that can lead to being sore, which then prevents me from working out for another couple of days. So I start to lack a little bit of consistency if I go really hard. One thing I have always loved is bodybuilding and powerlifting. And I'll tell you, max numbers are really not that helpful when it comes to hiking on a long trail. Again, they're not bad, but are they the most helpful things to be focusing on? No. So what are those things that mattered more? And I think that really make or break a training program or preparation for a long hike. So one of the first things that mattered more than anything else comes from an old sports adage. You train how you're going to play. So if you're going to hike, through hike, you should train by simulating hiking as much as you can. This means doing a lot of training hikes and more importantly, being consistent. As a part of that, handling climbs with a loaded pack. I am fortunate, some of you may as well be fortunate to have mountains or elevation or things that you can do to train. The Wasatch Mountain Range is somewhat in my backyard, and so I can get up into the hills, into the mountains, and really experience a 2,700 foot climb in elevation over 3 miles. I can do an almost 3,000 foot climb in about 3.5 miles. I have that at my disposal, and it is something that I absolutely use and have found obviously to be incredibly helpful. But I know not everybody does, and there are things that you can do to simulate this. First, you could get a weighted vest if you don't want to carry a backpack with you, and use that weighted vest as you're walking around the home, as you go on walks outside, or as you do other kind of training. Being able to carry and feel that weight on your shoulders and on your back is a good thing. Second, if you have access to a gym that has a Stairmaster or a stair climber of some kind, you can start on that and gradually add your backpack or add a vest or add the weight that you think you'll be carrying the majority of time, and progressively get accustomed to what that feels like and the endurance of doing that Stairmaster and with the weight. As you are consistent in doing these things, whether that be hiking, whether that be walks, whether that be a Stairmaster of some kind, your body also learns how to recover and take advantage of the foods that you're eating to recover the muscles and to recover everything that's been damaged through your training or through your hiking. And this is helpful once you get on the trail, because your body is not going from one state to another and being shocked. It's used to this. It's used to the endurance. It's used to the longer days. It's used to the uneven terrain. It's used to the exertion and the effort that you are putting out. So all in all, the big takeaway here is to train like you are going to play. If you have the ability to train or to simulate hiking, that is the biggest tip and the biggest miss I think that most hikers have when they're preparing for a hike. One of the things that surprised me the most in the preparation for my first thru hike was that a high level of fitness doesn't necessarily prevent soreness. My legs got very sore, and leading up to that thru hike, I was in a powerlifting regimen, and I was able to squat 455 pounds. I was able to deadlift over 500 pounds. My lower body was pretty strong, but in no way did that prevent soreness when I was doing 35, 38, 4,000 feet of gain, most of that up above 10,000 feet along the Uinta Highline Trail. But as I have gotten out on some other ones and have changed the way that I have trained and prepared, I've noticed that the capability of hiking tired but steady has been a huge asset. So these are some of the things that I have learned over the last few summers of iterating on my training and my plan and my preparation for some long hikes. I will be doing another one this year, and I will take some of the learnings from the last few years and specifically 2025 and apply that to my training for 2026, as this is going to be probably a pretty long and awesome adventure for me. So a couple of little things to remind us and to close this out. A couple of different mindset shifts that I've had to have. One, changing from intensity to consistency. And two, a mindset of thinking I've got to be this elite level of fitness to a mindset of durability and endurance. And number three, from kind of really hard single workouts to repeatable days and repeatable exercises. And four, from focusing on the numbers to really more focusing on my body, how it's feeling, and how I can simulate what a hike is really like. Well, friends, that's the video for today. And I first just want to say, if you're doing any kind of training, you are doing the right thing. Any training is better than no training at all, especially as you're preparing for an adventure and an awesome hike or through hike. So the overarching point here is just make sure your training and your focus and priorities line up with what the trail asks of you. So what have been the most important tips and tricks and preparation methods for you? I would love to hear what is working for you. Leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear what you've got. Go check out this video if you want to see the most important gear I am training with in my preparation for my 2026 hiking adventures. The Norda-Run 001A trail runners with a claimed lifespan of 1,000 miles. And with that, friends, I will catch you all in the next one.